Shalom. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Mishpatim, we gain an insight into an essential teaching of what it means to live an authentic and full and purposeful Jewish life. It's not enough just to think Jewishly or ruminate or remember Jewishly. We are asked to act Jewishly, to act with purpose and with passion, first and foremost. Where do we see this? At the foot of the mountain. Moses goes up and he receives the teaching of the Lord, and brings this teaching back to the Israelites. And what do they say? Vaya'an kol ha'am kol echad, in one voice. Kol echad, in one voice. Vayomru kol hadvarim asher diber Adonai na'aseh. Everything that God said, we will do. Na'aseh. And then that na'aseh has an added piece in the next verse. Vayikach sefer habrit. Moses took the record of the covenant, read it out loud to the people, and they all said, all that God has spoken, na'aseh v'nishma. Not only we will do, but we will do and we will understand. What is the added component here of na'aseh, we will do, v'nishma, and we will listen. We will do and we will understand. Well, the Torah commentators look at this line quite favorably, understanding the Israelites at the mountain at that point like angels. And in fact, the Talmud says that when the Israelites said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will listen, 600,000 angels came down and gave the Israelites 2 crowns, one for the I will do and one for the I will listen. One for the we will do and one for the we will listen. And they wore these crowns with great royalty. They were like angels at that point, who are also the ones who say, Na'aseh, we will do, because they don't have a choice. But the humans have a choice, and they chose to do and to listen. Unfortunately, some of them lost those crowns in Chet HaEgel. That's a whole other story in the sin of the golden calf. But let's take a moment here to understand what is so central about Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will listen. Why is this so essential to living a full and purposeful and meaningful life? I'd like to quote for you Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, who says that we will do and we will listen, Na'aseh v'nishma, is pointing to this idea that to understand Judaism is not by learning about it alone, but by performing the commandments and living a Jewish life. In the beginning, this is a deed, it's an action, and only then, after, comes the insight and the comprehension. And this, he says, is a substantive point. The modern Western mind tends to put things in the opposite order. We want to understand first and fully, and then we will do. And then we'll take it into our lives. And he says there's a time and a place for that kind of learning and doing. But when it comes to making deep existential commitments, the only way to understand is to do. Like leadership, you can think all you want about being a leader, but you don't learn how to truly be a leader until you lead. The only way to truly understand about marriage is to be married, or just to be in a relationship. The only way to truly understand a certain career path is by spending some time in that career path. And so it is with any major decision or anything that we want to take more fully into our lives. Something is required of us to do, to be in and immersed to fully understand. And it's no different with the mitzvot, or that's a perfect example of how to understand the mitzvot, not by just thinking about them or reading about them, but by taking them into our lives more fully. And the beautiful thing about this statement is that we say, Na'aseh v'nishma, yes, we will do and we will listen. We will perform these mitzvot. We'll bring them into our lives. And only then something will happen to us individually. Communally, we take these mitzvot into our lives. But individually, our lives are transformed. So my blessing for us as we go into Shabbat together is that we think about a mitzvah like lighting candles. We can think about lighting candles or read about lighting candles, but we won't be able to bring the light of those candles into our souls, into our lives, and into our hearts unless we're actually in front of them, unless we light them and bring their holy sacred light into our hearts and into our lives. We could talk all we want about eating challah and whose challah recipe is different or better, but it's only when we eat the challah that we are transformed by that yumminess and that feeling of connectedness to the land and to the mitzvah of challah, and so on and so forth. My blessing for us is that we feel these mitzvot transforming us communally, but individually. And as we said in that 1980s commercial, in the Life cereal, that is kind of good. Try it. You'll like it. Let's be like Mikey. Let's try it. And hopefully we'll not just like it, we'll love it, and we'll be transformed by it. Let's all say together in one voice, B'kol echad, na'aseh v'nishma, and let's fully feel the transformational effect of the pursuit and the action and the delight of these mitzvot. And let us say Amen.